All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the B Team Podcast. Today, you are stuck with just me, as Mike has been called to the trains. You know, it's always on the cards that he could be called to the trains, and he was today, unfortunately. So you got a Muller podcast. Last time we did this, the Cowboys were borderline in shambles, and ironically, we are in week 3. 1 year ago today, Muller went on an absolute rant on this very podcast about how the Cowboys were not playing up to expectations. Dak Prescott was bad. Run game was bad. Wide receiver game was bad. Nothing was going right. And it turns out that after 3 weeks, that's just normal for Cowboys fans because obviously, like I just said, 1 year ago today, we did that. I think in a little bit here, we're going to have on a guest. We're going to start calling people to get their thoughts on the games this week. But before we get into anything with the guests, we got to talk about some of the biggest news of the week so far. Jaxson Dart is now the starting quarterback of the New York Giants, and Russell Wilson has been dropped out of the starting lineup to quarterback 2. The change comes after 0-3 start. I mean, Russell Wilson, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 0-3 start. They paid him $10.5 million to come in and, get this team rolling again, how Eli Manning and greats before him were before. And it just never really happened for the guy. There was a specific drive when they were in the I think they might have been just outside the red zone. Maybe they were just inside the red zone. But Russell Wilson snaps the ball, walks straight into a sack. I mean, there was no lane to run into, and this man ran straight into it. Not really sure what he's looking at on the field. Second down, throws one into Rosie. Not great at all. I mean, he looks scared in the pocket. Just a really, really bad performance there on second down. And third down, same thing as first down. Ran straight into a sack. And then obviously on fourth down, just no good. I mean, threw it away again on fourth down into, this time not row Z, but row W. So I think the move comes after a lot of negative from the Russell Wilson era, which only lasted 3 games. And you drafted this guy, Jaxson Dart, out of Ole Miss. You're expecting him. I mean, they released the tapes, which is crazy that they released the tapes. Daboll clearly says that he is banking on Jaxson Dart essentially to save his job. And now that video is circulating around again. Just a tough situation for Giants fans. I do feel bad for them. I know there's not just a few, but a lot that listen to this show. And I really want to send my condolences because just when you think you have it worse as a Cowboys fan, you just remember you could be a Giants fan. And that's never a place you want to be in. Tyrone Tracy goes down with a dislocated shoulder. I think he dislocated his shoulder injury. It sounds like he's going to be okay, a little bit better than they expected. Now, with all that negative said, I think there's a lot of positive inside of this Giants team. The defense isn't horrible. There's been, in the last 5 to 10 years, there's been some bad defense played by this Giants team. I don't think that's the case here. I think it's really a case of, the offense just not always clicking. Russell Wilson, everyone wants him to be the Russell Wilson that we had in Seattle. And I just don't think that's the case anymore. I think moving to Jaxson Dart, a more mobile quarterback, a more exciting and electric quarterback. He proved it when he was at Ole Miss. Ole Miss, let's not act like Ole Miss is some powerhouse here. They weren't a team that was talked about, being in the playoff every year. And Jaxson Dart, I mean, he's got us talking about Ole Miss. Jaxson Dart has that eye black across his eye. Jaxson Dart slings the ball. Jaxson Dart can get it to 1. He can get it to Neighbors. And Neighbors, let's just take a moment here and give a shout out to Malik Neighbors real quick. Malik Neighbors is on his 6th quarterback. The fact that he is remotely in these top 5 conversations for wide receivers is impressive, to say the least. I'd be surprised if his overs don't absolutely smash. I'd be surprised if Scadabo's overs don't absolutely smash this week. I know that they're going up against a Chargers team that for all intents and purposes, has been a top 5 team in the league. They're 3-0 for a reason. I mean, they're throwing the ball on first down at it was like some 95% clip. They're playing at a different level, that offense. They're letting Herb really take control and throw the football. A lot of people thought they were going to be a run-heavy team, but that, again, just hasn't been the thing this year. And it's worked for them. I think Harbaugh has that team clicking, has them playing really well. I think he has Herbert playing at an elite level. Not to get away from the Giants here, there's something to be said about just a coach having belief in a player. You look at Trey Lance, he went there and he looked good for the Chargers. Now, he's never going to play as long as Herb is there. We all know that. But he looked good. And Herb has looked great since Harbaugh got there. Something to be said about what Harbaugh does to a team. And I think he's been fantastic in the NFL so far. I think he was fantastic when he went to college. A lot of people are saying that he's the greatest coach of all time. Dan Orlovsky, I believe it was, at ESPN. Moron. Let's not even go there. That is just stupid. We have people like Pete Carroll out there. But again, not to get too far away from the Giants. The Giants, I think, are in an exciting position as a team. I think they're in an exciting position as an organization. Yes, did Russell Wilson throw 450 yards against Dallas Cowboys literally a week before he got benched, 2 weeks before he got benched? Yes, he did. But does that mean that he is playing at the level that they need him to play at to win? Is it worth it to put Russell Wilson out there and lose when you can have Jaxson Dart in there? And maybe you win, maybe you don't, but now your quarterback that you are banking on, Daboll, is learning. He's developing those relationships with Malik Neighbors. He's developing those relationships with the O-line, the relationships with Scatterbo, who I think Scatterbo is going to be fantastic in the league. Wanted him in Dallas, didn't get him. I'm just very excited for what this team's going to do this week. I think there's a lot of young talent on this team. And, I think we can't judge where the Giants are going to be at after these next 5 weeks. I think that's very unfair of us to do. I don't want to sit here and act like Jaxson Dart is going to suck. I don't want to sit here and act like Jaxson Dart is going to be the best quarterback of all time. He's playing against the Chargers, the Saints, Philly, Denver, San Francisco, Chicago, Green Bay, Detroit, and New England before the bye week. I mean, the Chargers, just like I said before, 3-0, playing at an elite level. The Saints, absolute dog shit. The Philadelphia Eagles, probably the best team in football right now. You have a Denver team that hasn't lived up to expectations so far, but we know what Bo Nix and that team can do. The Eagles, again, at Philly this time. Let's just talk, we're probably not going to see a good Jaxson Dart. Well, maybe we will. That game. He'll surprise us. But I think Philly's going to win both of those. You got San Francisco, who's a sneaky 3-0. Mac Jones is playing well. But they are also very injured. So that's a possible win right there. You got Chicago. Hold your jokes. Chicago still sucks. And I'm not saying that anything with the Cowboys right now. We'll get into that later. The Cowboys also suck, but Chicago definitely sucks. Then you go to Green Bay, who has been, up until this last week, the best team in football. Then you have Detroit, who finally is starting to look like themselves. And many are saying that, I think it was Dan Campbell's offense the whole time. It was his playbook the whole time. That guy's a genius. He looked great against the Ravens last week. And then you go to New England, which is always a tough game, and that's going to be a Monday night game in December. That's not an easy schedule for any quarterback. It's not an easy schedule for a seasoned vet. Let's not sit here and act like Jaxson Dart is going to go out there and light up the league. Jaxson Dart is a great quarterback. Jaxson Dart's going to be around for a long time. Jaxson Dart, Malik Neighbors, and Scatterbo are going to be a trio that we talk about probably for the next 10 years. But am I crazy enough to sit here and say that Jaxson Dart could turn out to be a top 10 quarterback by the end of this year? Absolutely. Jaxson Dart looks fantastic on paper. He looks fantastic in person. I mean, the hair is flowing. He's got the headband on. He's got the dash across his eye. I think the Giants have a winner in him. I think the Giants have a dog in him. I think the Giants have their quarterback. And I'd be excited if I was a Giants fan. There's a lot of people that want to be negative, saying they shouldn't be doing this. We've seen this before. They shouldn't be doing this. The Giants are a good enough team to keep him healthy. They're a good enough team to win football games. With Jaxson Dart at quarterback, I think they're elevated to a team that can play spoiler. They're not going to make the playoffs. Let's not kid ourselves. They're not making the playoffs. Giants fans, you're not making the playoffs, just to be very clear. But Jaxson Dart will win football games. He'll win football games. He's a Burnley for those who watch soccer. They'll win a football match. They'll take it to you at home. Kyle Walker will take it to you at home. Parker will take it to you at home as a coach. Go on the road to Man City, 5-0 L. Go on the road to Liverpool, 4-0 L. Jaxson Dart's going to have that type of season. The Giants are Burnley. The Giants are going to be spoilers. They're going to pull points off of teams. They're going to be great at moments. But are they going to be the best team in football? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And so, yeah, I'm very excited for what the New York Giants are going to do this year. I like the Jaxson Dart move. I think Daboll has about 2 weeks left as a coach. I think John Gruden, stay on call. You might be the next head coach of the New York Football Giants. Staying in week 4 here. Big matchup coming up for the Dallas Cowboys and Micah Parsons. It is the return of Micah Parsons to Dallas. They're playing at the Big D, at Jerry World. It is an 8:20 game. I'm excited for this one. I think if you're not excited for this one, I mean, you're just not a fan of football. And I'm talking about all fans, not just Cowboys fans, not just Packers fans, even though the Packers, that organization is in some turmoil. They are under investigation for numerous things right now. And I love the way everyone's talking about this game. I love it. Everyone's picking the Green Bay Packers. Everyone is against the Cowboys. And, hey, rightfully so. The Cowboys looked horrible last week, especially after CeeDee Lamb went down injured. Dak Prescott is still playing quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Jadeveon Clowney is going to come in. I know people are going to say he's an old head, this, that, and the other. Jadeveon Clowney is still a baller. He's still a guy that can go and game wreck. We're going to be getting Deron Bland back this week. I think the defense is going to be a lot better than we showed in Chicago. Chicago was absolute misery for me. I mean, I went on the Believe in Monsters podcast literally like the night before, 2 nights before, and I had all the confidence in the world, but I said to everyone, I did not like the way the line was moving. I did not like that we were bouncing back and forth between being an underdog and a favorite. I said that the Dallas Cowboys could be in trouble here, and boy, was I right. When CeeDee Lamb went down, when we fumbled that football on the first drive, I mean, all things were good leading into that. That was a hell of a run. The moment that ball got ripped out of his hands, the Cowboys lost that football game. I mean, we're running passing plays from the 2. We have the most ferocious runner in our backfield in the entire league. He chooses violence. He has the open field, and he chooses to put his helmet down dead left into your skull. And we're going to throw the football. There was a lot of things I didn't agree with. I think it was just a very shitty game on all accounts for the Cowboys. An embarrassing result, especially playing the Bears. But let's not forget the Bears are getting better. They are a good team. A new coach, stuff's going to start clicking. You're going to see positives every now and then. We got called on a positive week, typical Cowboys fashion. But now we really got to buckle in. We really got to lock in on what we're going to do this week against Green Bay. For starters, I think we should be running the ball at 1 constantly. I think that we should be running. Listen, take your pick of who's in the backfield. I don't really care who's in the backfield. I was about to say that we can throw Miles Sanders back there. I'm not really sure if we can. But throw whoever you want back there and run him straight at Micah Parsons. Show the world why it was okay that we traded Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons wants to sack Dak Prescott and said it's going to be painful to sack him. Buddy, you ain't going to get to him. You're lucky Booker's out. You ain't going to get to him. At least more than once. He might have one sack. I'll admit he might have one sack, but he ain't going to have two. And I think we should run the ball straight at him the entire game. The entire game. I do think that the Cowboys have a chance in this game. I don't think it's disrespectful that we aren't giving Micah Parsons a tribute before the game. 4 years, didn't win anything. We didn't raise a single banner. What do you need a tribute for? Sixers don't give Nerlens Noel a tribute when he comes back playing for OKC. Why should we give you a tribute? Things to think about. I think the Cowboys are going to keep this one close. It's a 6.5 spread at the moment. I think that the Dallas Cowboys are going to cover that. I think this is at least a 2 field goal game. I don't think it's a touchdown game. I think Dak Prescott and George Pickens are going to tear this team apart. I think they're going to show what we can do. I think Schottenheimer's been great this season. Tough week last week, but he's a new coach. It's going to happen. I think there's a lot of learning going on both sides of the ball. I think Eberflus has to lock in. I think he's got to change his scheme up a little bit more. Can't be so one-dimensional. You know what? I think I'm backing on the Cowboys. We're gonna make the wild card. We are going to make the wild card. Ethan Suleiman, book it right now. We're going to make the wild card. And I'm taking the Cowboys at +6. That is going to be my mortal. I think that we lose by 3. I won't give an exact score, although last time I was very close. I think the Cowboys lose by 3. And I think that should be considered a very good football game for the Cowboys this week. Looking at the rest of the schedule here, obviously tonight we have Seattle and Arizona. I like what Kyler Murray's doing. I like what Seattle's doing. I think it's going to be a very good football game, very good Thursday night game. I am going to ride with Arizona in this one. I know Seattle's favored. I think Kyler Murray has been playing at a very good level. Not great scenes coming out of the Marvin Harrison camp with that picture this week. I mean, the man clearly took too much Tylenol as a kid. And then on Sunday, I mean, our first Dublin game, our first game overseas, Minnesota, how are they going to travel? And then they got to play Pittsburgh. I think that's going to be a pretty good game. We'll see if J.J. McCarthy will be back and what that team can do. And then we got a lot of games on Sunday that, I'm looking for teams to bounce back. I really want to see teams and how they react to last week. Washington and Atlanta. Atlanta got embarrassed. Washington's going to have Jane Daniels coming back. How are both teams going to play in that 1 o'clock affair? Washington is -1.5 in that one. Are we going to see Kirk Cousins? Are we going to see Michael Penix? I think that'll be a very good game. You got the Saints game blown out by Buffalo. The Cleveland Browns game blown out by Detroit. You got Carolina and New England. I mean, Carolina showed signs of life for the first time all season. Kudos to them. Really happy for Bryce Young. I just want him to be great, but tough one. It sounds like Xavier's going to be a Cowboy, but we won't get into that right now. I'm going to take New England in that one, and then we got Los Angeles and New York. I mean, we talked about that one earlier. I'm not going to dive into that. That could go any which way. One game that I do want to get into in the 1 o'clock slot is Philadelphia and Tampa Bay. Philadelphia has been very good this year. Very good. The tush push works perfection. I can't hate on the tush push. Just don't cheat on your way to making it perfect. The defense has looked great. They're turning the ball over. I really can't hate on a team that's playing as good as this Eagles team. Eagles fans come up to me, oh, Eagles this, Eagles that. And I'm standing there, I'm like, what do you want me to say? Do you want to argue about this? Or do you want, what do you want from me? They get mad when I praise them. They get mad when I hate on them. Not really sure what they're looking for there. And we're going to get into quarterbacks later, so I won't talk about Hurts right now. I do think the Eagles will have to pass the ball this game. I think that the Bucks are gonna light up the scoreboard again. I think Baker's playing at an elite level, top 3 level right now. You got Mecca playing. Mecca Igbukah is the best rookie out there right now, playing fantastic. Yeah, Bucky Irving and that running back room looking fantastic. You got Mike Evans out for at least two more weeks. I think the 3rd week is in question. So that'll be a loss for now, but they're going to be continuing to get healthier. This team is playing really well. I like the vibes that they're bringing. The rookies are stepping up. The sophomores are stepping up. The vets are stepping up. I really like what the Bucs are doing, and I do like them to actually win this football game and give the Eagles their first loss. The Bucs are. I mean, I think the Bucs should be considered a Super Bowl contender. I think they should be considered a Super Bowl favorite out of the NFC at this moment. Do I think that they're the best team in the NFC? No, I do not. But when it comes to, if I had to pick a team right now to be the representative out of the NFC, I think I'd have to go with the Bucs. I think I would. So I'm actually going to be taking the Bucs in that game. I really like what they're doing there. Tennessee and Houston, that is an absolute dog trash of a game. Houston possibly going 0-4, even though that they're minus 7.5 favorites. Cam Ward did practice today, so he'll be back. We got Los Angeles and Indianapolis. Indianapolis, can you stay undefeated? LA, can you bounce back from a very tough loss last week when you really should have won? 2 blocked field goals is just embarrassing. Jacksonville and San Francisco, toss it up. Baltimore and Kansas City, toss it up. I mean, that's a battle to get to 500 right there, which is very surprising at this point in the season. Chicago and Las Vegas, toss it up. Green Bay and Dallas. Green Bay is favored at minus 6.5, like we just said, and I'm still going to say toss it up. And then we got Monday night, we got the doubleheader that no one asked for. We have New York and Miami, Cincinnati, and Denver. We got to stop with these doubleheaders, especially if we're just going to put dog trash teams out there onto the field.
Like, follow, subscribe, like, follow, subscribe, like, follow, subscribe. Back to the show.
So, look, before the season was released, and Mike was supposed to do this today, but he got called to the trains. So, duty calls. So, he'll be releasing his next top 10 next week on next show. In the preseason, he gave Lamar Jackson as the top dog. Josh Allen, Burrow, Mahomes, and Hurts were his top 5. I would argue that 4 of those guys should no longer be in there. Then he followed up with Baker, Herb, Daniels, Dak, and Goff. I think that there's better quarterbacks in the 6 to 10 range than there were in the 1 to 5. And that's no knock on Mike. How could we see this coming? And I know he's going to give his take next week. He's going to talk about it next week. But if I had to look at this list right now and switch it around, I think I'm going Allen at number 1. He's undefeated. He's shown to be the best winner, best quarterback in the league. He's doing things that not many people can do. Looking great. I would go Baker at number 2. I think he's earned it. I think he's playing at that level. I think he deserves it. And I'm going Justin Herbert at number 3. You're talking about a guy in Herb that is playing the quarterback position and using his arm, his legs to dominate football games, to win football games. Also undefeated. I can't really argue against any of those 3 being out of there, but I can make great arguments for them being in there. And now people are not going to like this one. That people are going to call me a homer for this, but I'm putting Dak Prescott at 4. I think that Dak Prescott is a great quarterback stuck on a bad team right now, stuck on an injured team right now. I think Dak Prescott's playing some of the best football of his career. I think Dak Prescott's playing some of the best football in the NFL at the quarterback position as a quarterback. I'm going to follow it up with Jared Goff. Jared Goff operates an offense like Leo Messi on a soccer field. And I'm making soccer references tonight. That is what we're doing. Jared Goff operates that Detroit offense like an artist out there. And he made them look fantastic the last couple weeks. Fantastic. That last game against Baltimore, dude, he had them clicking. He had them going. And I loved every minute of it. So I'm going with Allen, Baker, Herb, Dak, and Goff. And now, Philly, let's stand up because I got Jalen Hurts at 6. Listen, Jalen Hurts, and I said this on last show, I have a lot of respect for him. I think this Philly team is fantastic. I think Jalen Hurts is fantastic. Roll Tide. I think this offense looks boring. I think this offense operates at a high level, but they're boring. I think they're very efficient, but they're boring. And that's no knock on them. You do you. You win games. But Jalen Hurts is not a top 5 quarterback in the league. He's a top 2 winner in the league. And then I'm going to follow it up with Lamar. I think Lamar, I kind of slighted him here. I think he should be a little higher on that list probably, but I don't know. We're going to see what Mike does. And then I got question marks at 8, 9, and 10. You could throw Mahomes in there, but it hasn't been a great start. Burrow's injured. Jane Daniels injured. I'm excited to see what he's going to say next week. But I think Allen Baker, Herb, Dak, Goff, Hurts, Lamar are just playing at a different level this year. I think they're playing fantastic. As I think about the rest of the league, we could go through all the teams. The New York Giants we just talked about, turmoil. Jane Daniels injured. We'll start in the East, of course. Dak and Hurts, always good. Go to the NFC South. Baker, elite. You got Carolina, our boy, Bryce Young, doing okay. You got Michael Penix, terrible week last week. You got Trevor Lawrence. If we go to the AFC South, I'm just jumping around here. Trevor Lawrence, not bad, not great. Cam Ward, not bad, not great. Daniel Jones, could he slide in there? He's been playing fantastic. Indiana Jones, amazing what happens when you leave the Giants. So I think I'm not going to go through the whole league because that's just going to be time consuming here. So not doing that. But I think that Mike's got a tough situation on his hands here in terms of 8, 9, and 10. So, yeah, I'm excited for that. And before we get into the mortals, I actually want to talk about something real quick because, I'm going to scratch it and save it for next week with Mike because I really want him to hear this. I think a lot of Eagles fans are going to like it. I think a lot of Detroit fans are going to like it. So I'll wait for Mike. Let's get into the mortals real quick. The mortals, I'm going to give you mine. Because Mike got sent to the trains and he didn't text me his mortals, I don't have them. And like always, we'll get the guest mortals out after when we post them. So nothing on Thursday night, of course. But my mortal this week, do I take Dallas? I could, but I think that'd be dumb when there's a punishment on the line. I look at some of these and... Houston is an interesting one. They've been bad. Do I take Tennessee? Plus 7.5, a touchdown they're giving them? Come on. Do I take the Cleveland Browns at plus 9.5 coming off a big win? It's a very tough week looking at these lines. All right. You know what? Screw it. I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys at plus 6.5 as my spread, and I'm going to take the over 48.5 in the Baltimore Ravens and Kansas City Chiefs game. I think both offenses are preparing to explode. I think the Ravens, Zay Flowers, book him for a touchdown this week. He didn't do absolutely anything last week. So give me a lot of points in that Ravens Chiefs game. Give us 50 points in there. Couple touchdowns, couple field goals, and we're good to go. So Dallas Cowboys plus 6.5. I'm taking the over 48.5 in the Baltimore Ravens Kansas City Chiefs game. And then you know what? I think the Colts are going to take their first L this week. Give me the Los Angeles Rams money line. They're going to bounce back after their first loss of this season to the Philadelphia Eagles in a heartbreaking fashion. That's what I'm going to ride with. And yeah, that's the show this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you go down and comment and, discuss with me. Discuss with us. I want to hear what you guys have to say about all the topics we talked about today. Give me your thoughts on even stuff we didn't talk about. We're always down to have a good NFL conversation. So make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, hit that subscribe button. Remember, every subscriber that we gain throughout this season is a donation to pediatric cancer. We got to cure that. So go subscribe so that you can be a part of that cure. And lastly, have a good day. Let's go Cowboys. I'll see you guys.